Forget horsepower bragging rights. Some engines in history were so massive they barely fit inside the cars they powered. Engines built for warplanes, for tanks, for land speed records. Engines so impractical they terrified drivers as much as they impressed them. These are some of the biggest, wildest lumps of metal ever crammed under a hood. First on the list is the Fiat S76 engine, also known as the Beast of Turin. This monster was born in 1910, and it was built with one goal: to break land speed records. Now picture this, an inline 4 engine so gigantic that each cylinder could easily double as a bucket. There were 4 of them. Multiply that by 4 and suddenly you're staring at a 28.5 liter powerhouse roaring to life in a car that barely looks like it could handle it. The S76 could crank out around 300 horsepower, which for 1910 was like strapping a rocket engine to a wooden cart. But here's the kicker: controlling it was a nightmare. Steering, braking, and even keeping the thing on the road required nerves of steel. So yeah, when you think big engine, forget your modern supercars. Nothing from today's garage can match the sheer size of a century-old Fiat that made 4 huge cylinders look tiny just by existing. And this list only gets crazier from here. Now, if the Fiat S76 was a roaring monster, the Packard V12 Model 1208 is a kind of engine that whispers luxury before smacking you with sheer size. We're talking 18 liters of precision-engineered V12 madness. Yes, 12 cylinders all working together like a perfectly synchronized orchestra. Only this orchestra could crush the competition with brute force. Introduced in 1935, the 1208 wasn't built for land speed records or showy stunts. Each cylinder was carefully designed, featuring overhead valves, a smooth firing order, and sufficient displacement to make a modern V8 envious. But don't be fooled. Big engines and luxury cars aren't just about smooth cruising. The Packard V12 dominated the road. Its 18 liters meant effortless acceleration, a symphony of torque, and the kind of mechanical presence that made you feel the car before you even heard it. And yet, it retained elegance, the kind of engine that owners could brag about at dinner parties without sounding like they were driving a tank. Here's the fun part: this wasn't mass-produced. Packard kept it exclusive, and that rarity adds to the mystique. So while the S76 was all about sheer audacity, the Packard 1208 proves that size and sophistication can coexist, creating an engine that's massive, classy, and unforgettable. So we're in the 1920s, a time when most cars were dainty little machines. And here comes Fiat saying, let's slap an aircraft engine into a car and see what happens. And the result is a 21.7-liter inline-6 that looks more like a chunk of industrial machinery than something you could drive down the street. Ladies and gentlemen, enter the Fiat Méphistophélès. Each cylinder was massive enough to double as a small barrel, all lined up in a row, screaming in unison. Because it was derived from an aircraft engine, it wasn't just huge, it was engineered to go fast, to push the limits of land speed records. And it actually worked. The Méphistophélès set records, scared the competition, and cemented itself in history as one of the largest and most audacious automotive engines ever fitted into a car. Alright, buckle up, because the Napier-Railton is where things start getting downright insane. This is 1933 Britain, and someone, let's call him a very ambitious engineer, thought, why not stick an aircraft engine in a car and call it a day? Which is kind of the same concept behind the Méphistophélès. Enter the Napier Lion W12, a 23.9-liter monster that was literally designed to fly, but instead it got strapped into a car chassis. Here's the mental picture: 3 banks of 4 massive cylinders arranged in a W, hissing, breathing, vibrating like a mechanical beast that refuses to be tamed. Size alone is enough to make you rethink what a car engine should even look like. One glance under the hood and you'd swear you're staring at a small power plant, and that's because, in essence, you were. The Napier-Railton smashed speed records at Brooklyn's, terrifying drivers and spectators alike. Steering this thing required every ounce of concentration you had, The throttle control was more of a commitment than a gentle tap. Size matters, and if you're not scared, you're not looking close enough. Now, hold on to your seats because the Mercedes-Benz T80 makes everything we've talked about so far look like pocket change. We're in the late 1930s, a time when most cars still had engines you could lift yourself. And then comes the T80, designed to obliterate land speed records with an engine so massive it makes your jaw drop. 44.5 liters. Yeah, 44 and a half. The heart of this beast is a Daimler-Benz DB603 inverted V12. Originally meant for aircraft. They didn't just shove it into a car, they engineered a machine around it. Every component screamed overkill. The T80 was designed for over 750 miles per hour. But just imagine an engine where the cylinders are practically as long as your forearm, producing raw, terrifying power and screaming at the horizon like a jet engine strapped to wheels. And shockingly, it never even ran. World War II broke out, plans were shelved, and the car remained a monument to ambition, not asphalt. But that doesn't make it any less insane. The T80 exists in history as a giant of imagination and engineering. A what could have been that still gives gearheads nightmares and makes your average supercar engine look like a tea kettle. The Rolls-Royce Meteor Special is where things get ridiculous in all the right ways. Imagine taking an engine that was built to power a tank. Yes, a literal war machine, and deciding, hey, let's shove this into a car. The result was a 27-liter V12. This isn't just big. It's the kind of engine you need a forklift to lift into the chassis, and people actually built custom cars around it. Driving one of these beasts were pure madness. The throttle response alone could rattle your teeth, and for the sound, think of a jet engine in a thunderstorm, but somehow contained within a car's body. And that's why the Meteor Special earns its spot on our list of the largest automotive engines ever. Alright gearheads, here's one that's as American as a V8 can get. Meet the Ford GAA V8. 18 liters of pure, unfiltered muscle, originally designed for military vehicles during World War II. Picture 8 cylinders, all firing at a thunderous rhythm that shakes the ground. At 18 liters, this isn't just big. It's the kind of size that makes you question if your driveway can even handle it. This V8 was aluminum dual overhead cam and engineered with a kind of precision that made Ford's wartime machines unstoppable. And yet, despite its origins in war, the GAA found its way into custom automotive projects, giving enthusiasts a chance to experience military-grade displacement on the road. It's a perfect example of why settle for ordinary when you can have insane. Packard-Bentley Mavis also deserves a spot on this list. As a car that makes big engine feel like an understatement, we're talking a 42-liter V12 straight out of a Packard aircraft engine stuffed into a one-off custom car built to climb hills and turn heads at exhibitions. Think about it, 12 massive cylinders, each the size of a small keg, and a deafening sound are part of what made this car perfect for exhibitions. Why so big, you might ask? Simple, because it could be. Because someone had the audacity to combine a Packard aero engine with a Bentley chassis and say, yes, we're going to make a hill climb car that looks like it could take off. That's exactly what the Packard-Bentley Mavis is remembered for. Size, spectacle, and pure mechanical overkill. The Rolls-Royce Merlin engine specials aren't just big engines. They're aviation legends strapped into cars, ranging anywhere from 27 to 37 liters of pure V12 fury. We're talking about by custom builds like the Rover SD1 Merlin and the Rolls-Royce Meteor Specials, where the line between car and airplane gets delightfully blurred. The Merlin V12, famous for powering Spitfires and Hurricanes, became a beast that dominated everything in its path. And controlling one of these monsters was a full contact sport. The range of 27 to 37 liters shows how far builders push the envelope. Some were on the smaller ends, still massive for cars, while others practically made a jet engine look tiny. Liberty L12, a 27-liter V12 designed for fighter planes in World War I, somehow found its way into cars chasing land speed records, because when your goal is fast or die trying, you don't settle for ordinary displacement. Take the White Triplex, not one, not two, but three Liberty V12 strapped together, blasting down the sand at Daytona like a rolling bomb. What made it special in cars wasn't just the displacement, but the torque. Even at low RPMs, it produced brutal pulling force, a necessity for aircraft takeoff, but perfect for record cars that needed to surge from a standstill. The engineering was advanced for its time. Dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, and modular construction to simplify mass production during wartime. By the 1920s, it was outdated for aviation, but that made it available to racers. Which of these monsters blew your mind the most? And if you had the chance, which one would you dare to drive? And hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.